Coming up today on the Technology Guy, I'm going to be taking a look at the Wyze Video Doorbell. Thanks for watching the Technology Guy. Let's take a look at the new Wyze Video Doorbell. This isn't going to be a very in-depth review as I've only had it a few days, so I need to give it more time to see how it works on day-to-day use. But I can give you my initial impressions on how responsive it is and the video quality. I'm also first going to go over my installation, which my installation may be different than yours, and it's going to vary based on your existing doorbell, your wiring. But before we get started, go ahead and subscribe, turn on those notifications, share, and like the video. So first thing I want to do, I want to make a quick statement about Wyze, because I know some people question their products and question, I have a couple people question about me reviewing so many of them, and I am doing a lot of reviews on Wyze products, and it's not because anybody's sending me anything for free or wanting me to do any reviews. The channel is way too small for anybody to be giving me anything for free. I have paid for everything that I've reviewed on this channel, and I plan to continue to only review products that I actually purchase myself. But I will include affiliate links to products that I review, including Wyze products. So if you decide you want to support the channel, then feel free to use those links. I purchase their products because they're affordable. There are a lot of options out there for security cameras and doorbells, and a lot of people don't want to spend $100 to $200 on a doorbell. The point of finding less expensive options is to see if you can get good quality for half or a third of the price, and not half that quality or a third of the quality. And I think that's what the market that Wyze is filling, is being able to get some really good quality for less expensive price. So reviewing less expensive products and using them daily is one of the main purposes of this channel. So if you like something that I review and you want to support the channel, again, just go ahead and use those affiliate links. And if you think that these products are garbage, then feel free to buy something else. But let me know how you feel about them. And it's only fair to bash a product if you're actually using it or have used it. And, if you're having bad experiences with Wyze, then let me know that in the comments, because I would definitely be interested in hearing that, because I really haven't ran into many problems with them at all. Their cameras definitely, they're not perfect. No product is. Ring or Nest are far from perfect either. But for the most part, like I said, they've been very reliable. Anything running over Wi-Fi is going to have off and on connection issues, and it's not always going to be the camera to blame. So with that out of the way, let's get on to looking at the doorbell. So I pre-ordered the Wyze Video Doorbell back in September of last year. So it has been a little while waiting for it to finally arrive. But with, everything going on with production delays, some of that's to be expected. That's what Wyze says is the delay on all of these pre-orders that have been done. And of course, still waiting on that Wyze watch that was supposed to have originally been here, I think, last month. And now they're saying April. We'll see when it shows up. But anyway, this is my first video doorbell. So my impressions are going to be more based off of that and research I've done about other doorbells. I've got friends and family that have, the Remobel S or Nest or Ring. So I'm familiar with all of them, and I've used them, and I have helped them install some of these doorbells. But as far as firsthand knowledge, this is really truly going to be the first one I've used. But like a lot of other people that are shopping for Wyze products, a lot of the time it's going to be either their first camera or their first smart thermostat or their first video doorbell. So hopefully, with this being my first, this is going to help those people that are also shopping for something affordable in their first video doorbell. So the Wyze Video Doorbell comes in a very small box, as I showed you at the intro, which gives you an idea of how small this doorbell is compared to a lot of the others out there. Now, this image I borrowed from someone on Reddit, and I'll provide a link to them below, but it gives you a really good comparison of the size with most popular doorbells that are on the market. So let's get this unboxed. So that's it. Everything in the box. Doorbell, the chime, backplate, wedge, if you need to angle it, mounting hardware, extension wires, the fuse or the mechanical chime jumper instructions, and the Wyze sticker. I was pretty happy to see how small this doorbell actually is. Some of the doorbells, Ring and Nest and Eufy, Arlo, those doorbells can be quite large, especially if you have a tight area around your door frame where maybe you have brick or some other siding that's meeting the frame where the existing doorbell is already wired. And some of those are very tight fit and they go over the door frame, and people are having to put, pieces of wood to bring it out from the frame. So this one being small was really good. It won't take much time to show you the install, and I'm going to fast forward through some of it. You don't want to sit there and watch me turn a screwdriver for 5 minutes, but I'll show you how mine installed. And like I said, yours, of course, may and probably will vary. Overall, other than a stripped head on the screw from my existing doorbell, which took a little bit of extra work to get out, the installation was super quick. If you don't have any Wyze products currently, then of course the first thing that you need to do is download the Wyze app. Once you do that, get registered, username, password, all that stuff. You're going to click on the plus and then click add new device. Then you'll click cameras and then Wyze doorbell. Now you have the option, if you've installed doorbells before, or if you're replacing a doorbell, you have the option to skip the detailed instructions, but we're going to go through that so that you can see the steps. Otherwise, if you don't need any instructions for connecting, you can pretty much skip right to the end and go to the setup. First thing you want to do is find the breaker that your doorbell is connected to. Mine happens to be on the breaker of the room closest to where my mechanical chime is hung on the wall in my hallway, which of course happened to be my office. So once the power is off to the chime, which you'll need to check, make sure the power is off, and you can easily do that by just pressing your doorbell and just making sure it's not working anymore. But you'll just remove the cover to the chime. And as far as mine's concerned, I had to unscrew the 2 wires that are connected because the only doorbell that I have is on my front door. So it's going to be different if you've got more than one doorbell. Your installation is going to be a little bit different, but the install will walk you through that as well. So like I said, I unscrew the 2 wires, then I'm going to connect the wires together with the fused wire provided by Wyze, and you're done bypassing the mechanical chime. That's all there is to it. Now, keep in mind that it did say you are bypassing the mechanical chime. So the only chime that's going to work is either the notification on your phone or the chime that's included with the Wyze doorbell. And bypassing the mechanical chime, that's what provides your power back to the Wyze doorbell. You put the cover back on and then you move on to the door. And again, this installation is pretty simple as well. You're going to remove the old doorbell, disconnect the wires, mount the wedge with the longer screws if you're planning on using it like I did, or you just mount the other plate if you just want a straight view. If you use the wedge, then you are going to attach that back plate with the shorter screws to the wedge. For mine, I didn't have to use the extension wires as my existing wire was plenty long. So I just wrapped the existing wires around the screws on the back of the doorbell and tightened. And it, like I said, though, it does include extensions that have the little C-shaped clips on it. So it's a lot easier than just, trying to wrap the wire around the screw and then tighten it. Now, before you mount the doorbell, go ahead and turn on the breaker, and you should get a yellow flashing status light and an audible message saying ready to connect. If you get that, you can move on with the setup.
Ready to connect.
If you have existing Wyze products, your Wi-Fi info should be saved. If not, you're just going to type that into the app and it will connect the doorbell as you're going along in the setup. Then all you're going to do is you'll scan the QR code on your phone with the doorbell's camera. And if you hear QR code scanned, check the box, tap next, and then name the doorbell. or you can take one of the default names, or if you want to, if you've got more than one, if you've got a side door with a doorbell or front door, you know, you can name it whatever you want, or just take the defaults. Now, once you finish up the last steps, the doorbell light is going to turn blue, and you're done. You mount the doorbell, and you're ready to set up the chime. Now, setting up the chime took about 30 seconds. I plugged it in. The instructions say that you have to press the reset button and wait for the blue light to flash, but didn't have to do any of that. Mine just connected right away. From there, of course, as with all Wyze cameras that you'll see if you get any of these, there's always going to be a firmware update when you first get it set up, or at least so far that's been my experience. Everything's had a firmware update except for, I'm trying to remember, I don't think the Wyze scale had a firmware update, but it may have. So that seems to take longer than the whole rest of the setup. The firmware setup took several minutes to complete. But once that finishes, you're good to go. Okay, so now that we've got the installation and setup out of the way, like I said, there's not going to be a lot of review to this because there's a lot more testing and just day-to-day use that I want to do with it. But I'm just going to show you some example of the audio, some motion detection, and just the response time. So this first one is just showing the response time for the motion detection. As you can see, I'm walking up on the porch, standing here. You know, it should have seen me coming around the corner on the stairs. Now, I'm sure it did. So the lights turned on, so I know the motion detection has activated, but it does take a little while for the motion detection to pop up. So, I mean, that was a good 30 to 40 seconds. But once it does that, the video that it captures is actually, you know, it's not bad, because you can go back. It'll capture just before the motion starts, and it'll have it for several seconds. So most of the time, by the time the motion is over, it's captured all of that in between. And like I said back at the beginning of this video, the Wyze cameras aren't perfect, the doorbell's not perfect, but none of these doorbells are perfect at doing the motion detection and what they capture. There's just random times that most of them are going to miss something. Now, so far through my testing, this has been, like I said, it's been pretty reliable with the motion detection, and it's turned down. The motion detection is actually, the sensitivity is I think I've had on between a 5 and a 12 most of the time. So it's doing pretty well for the way that I have it set. And now let's take a listen to a quick audio test. Now this is the audio that you'll hear from someone standing outside your door talking into the doorbell.
This is a test of the audio from the Wyze Video Doorbell. This is a test of the audio from the Wyze Video Doorbell.
And lastly, which is probably the most important test, is how quick does it actually respond to someone ringing your doorbell. So this next quick little clip is just going to show how quick it does respond to a doorbell press. So that's it. That's the Wyze Video Doorbell. Just a quick installation, setup, and just some examples of the audio and video quality, how fast it responds to motion detection. And I realized most of the motion detection testing that I've done was at night, but the same result during the day. It seems just a little bit slow for notifications for detected motion. I'm going to try adjusting some of that sensitivity and see if that helps. Now the doorbell presses, I mean, that's a very quick response as compared to what I've seen some other doorbells do. So I'm pretty happy with that. Like I said, I'm happy with the video quality, happy with the audio quality. Now, one little thing that bothers me, and I don't have any pictures or video of this, but like on my Echo Show, if you ask it to look at the front doorbell, it will show you that. But the same way as on my Apple Watch, I guess because of the format that Wyze is using to make it as tall as it is wide, everything is rotated. So you don't look at it as you would be looking through the camera using the app. So it's a little bit of a nuisance. But other than that, I think it appears like it's going to be a pretty good doorbell. Just, want to see how it holds up over time. Same way with the Wyze cameras that I've recently installed. It'd be good to see how those perform, and if there is a problem with them, how good Wyze support is. And if anybody's had any experience with Wyze and a product breaking and what kind of support they actually provide, please comment on that below. And thanks for watching Technology. And don't forget, subscribe, like, turn on your notifications, and leave comments below. And I'll see you next time.